Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today and we're sitting down to talk about PlayStation. I'm always very particular about when I talk about PlayStation because look, I get it, I talk about Xbox a lot, and so a lot of people think when I come in to talk about PlayStation I'm charged by the team of green, but I ask you this, where were you when PlayStation needed you most? That's what I thought. So today we're talking about what has been going on with PlayStation for the last couple of weeks. In particular, this week has been pretty insane for them, from Jim Ryan stepping down to a major hack hitting the company, and of course we've seen the steady ramp up of nickel and diming. If I were to put PlayStation into a box right now and identify them with other companies, I'd say they're an amalgamation of Nintendo and Apple. And we'll talk about why that is, but I want to ask the question, what's wrong with PlayStation? What's going on at PlayStation? Because there's so much change ongoing compared to the PS4 generation, but I also ask the question, does any of this matter when PlayStation is doing the best they arguably have ever done, almost outselling the Xbox 2-1? We'll discuss all of that and then some, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new here and you're into the occasional PlayStation upload, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. Let's start off with the big whammy, which is Jim Ryan out of PlayStation. After 30 years with the company, he is leaving, and I know a lot of people are not a fan of Jim Ryan, especially with the Activision Blizzard deal and everything. A lot of people call him Crying Jim Ryan. They really have something against the man because he was doing what he had to for the shareholders and playing weak. And look, these CEOs talk out of both sides of their mouths constantly. We all knew PlayStation would be okay after the Activision Blizzard deal. They took the deal from Xbox for a reason. They wanted to see if they could hold on to that Call of Duty revenue. With that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is a seismic loss for PlayStation because they did incredible under his watch. He may not have done many favorable moves, from almost tearing down the PS3 and Vita storefront to the $10 upgrades, and we'll talk about many more with the PlayStation Portal and so on and so forth. Not a lot of good optical moves under Jim Ryan's PlayStation tenure, but they did financially incredible, and they have games that are selling so stupidly well that they can weather these sort of storms, which is where I say they get a bit of that Nintendo vibe. But this is a big loss, and whoever steps in is going to have some mighty big shoes to fill. However, the hope of myself and many others out there is that with this new leader at PlayStation, that we can just course correct a little bit. I'm going to tell you this right now. Their focus on live service and mobile gaming and TV shows and accessories is not going away with this new leader. They're not going to come in and have, if you will, a Phil Spencer, I play games, everyone, so we're going to do the cool thing now. Just like Phil, you're still going to operate a business. You're still going to secretly want to acquire Nintendo, for example. You're still going to have your dirty little secrets, no matter who is in charge. You can only hope that they have value for the core console gamer, which is us sitting here talking right now. Because the reality is, no matter how much I bitch and moan, PlayStation's doing fantastic right now, and they're about to drop one of the biggest games of the year that I cannot wait for. I'm all ready for right now in Spider-Man 2. Where a lot of people got review codes, but I don't think PlayStation's going to give me one. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, some of the moves that PlayStation have done is what's earned them the public black eye. The most recent one I saw that's going a bit under the radar, and I've only clipped half this image because a Sony representative's email was in there, and I don't want to spread that, is this one right here from Gaming Heads, which is a statue provider. They've done things like God of War and Jack 3. They've done statues for the likes of God of War, The Last of Us Part 2, Jack 3 even. I believe they have a Sly Cooper one, which is my personal favorite. Apparently, they had a partnership with PlayStation. PlayStation is pulling out of that partnership. They still took money and the royalties from things that were sold and have ordered this team to destroy the statues. Now, we don't know the full story, if PlayStation responds or not, but this wouldn't surprise me, is what I'm starting to say. There was a time where I viewed PlayStation in a higher area, and I'd be like, okay, let's wait for their side of the story. But now you see these one-sided tales are starting to get a lot more credibility because of some of the crazy, more greedy moves that they've started to make. One such move was the upping of the price of PS Plus, which in a day and age of subscription services, I don't think many people are going to be too shocked or upset by, so long as you're either A, already over-delivering on value, which I would say Xbox Game Pass is doing when you look at what's coming day one to Game Pass this month, from Lies of P to Party Animals to Starfield, and I know Payday 3 is struggling right now as sort of the outlier, but that seems to be a great game otherwise when it is playable. Point being, Xbox has been delivering on value, so when they inched things up a bit and said, hey, you know, $1 or $2 more for Game Pass, most people were like, okay, No problem whatsoever. But when PlayStation Plus wasn't making meaningful additions to that library, when they weren't adding to backwards compatibility, which is something a lot of people were really asking for. When was the last time we got a brand new PS2 game placed on PS5? And then PlayStation comes out of nowhere and says, oh yeah, now it's at the minimum $40 a year. We're going to charge you a lot more now. It upset a ton of consumers because they had not got anything in value. They've been asking for more things to come into the service, and PlayStation shows up, charges them more, and says, yeah, we're not giving you anything else. Okay, have fun. And that really will deter the morale of the fan base. It's also self-inflicted wounds, which you saw me flash 2 self-inflicted wounds right here. I love the Vita with all of my heart. My goal is to have a complete physical Vita collection at one point in time. And I'm very excited for the PlayStation Portal. I put a lot of caveats within that excitement, but as someone who really liked the Logitech G Cloud gaming handheld and made a dedicated video on that here on the channel if you want to check it out, I have become a believer in the cloud streaming handheld, although I think it needs to be priced fairly, which I think the PlayStation Portal is in the right area. The big problem is this is where the Apple comparison comes in. PlayStation's not letting you use Bluetooth. They're doing this proprietary audio system where it's PlayStation Link and you need to get $200 headphones to use with the device. Like, what backwards move is that? Oh, wait. I know a thing or two about a backwards move, like when you had the Vita come out and you had to have a specific memory card for it, which pretty much killed the system on arrival. It's insane that this company has refused to learn from multiple technical mishaps out the gate. PSVR 2, Vita, now PlayStation Portal. I actually think there's a place for PlayStation Portal. I was playing Final Fantasy VIII for an upcoming video on Retro Rebound, and I didn't want to be here in my office. I wanted to just take my experience while the gameplay was still recording on my computer and go out into the living room. That would have been nice, but I had to be posted up here. A PlayStation Portal remote player would have been nice. With that said, the Logitech G Cloud gaming handheld does have an app called PS Play app, which is $6. It's not a native app, and using Logitech G Cloud with the X Cloud Gaming or playing it on the ROG Ally, you can see the difference between a console that has it built in mind with that app, such as Xbox Cloud Gaming and Logitech or Asus ROG Ally, versus one that it was made by someone else and is sort of a workaround to remote play on PlayStation 5, where there was lag, there was pixelation, there was bad latency. And so that's why I look forward to something like this. But still, it's insane to see the self-inflicted wounds. But this is where they're also like Nintendo, where they're trying to create, and I think lean into this sustained inertia, lean into the fact that people have a lot of nostalgia for PlayStation, guilty as charged, and they are hoping that you won't care enough because they'll go, oh, you're so upset about that PS Plus. Why did we just sell like 20+ million copies of Spider-Man 2? Oh, you're really that upset, are you? They check their bottom line. Okay, you keep whining over there on Twitter, on YouTube. Have fun. We're going to keep counting our cash. That's the mindset that I start to see with PlayStation. And it is a bummer, don't get me wrong, but this is the transformation that we've seen under the Jim Ryan era. And while it's been an ugly one, optically speaking, it has been a really dominant one. As I said earlier, they've outsold Xbox almost 2-1 at this point. And Xbox has had, barring 2022, which was awful, a pretty decent generation. And Game Pass has been attractive all throughout. So they have had competition there, and PlayStation has steamrolled them. The fact that when smart delivery exists and Xbox has a great built-in system that, I'll admit, I was laughing at the term of, oh, you're just trying to sell me an Xbox because you have no games at launch. Smart delivery was the wave at launch. I'm like, what is PlayStation doing? It's so complicated to upgrade some of their games, and then they end up charging you $10 for it. This, again, is the era of nickel and diming, and here's why they're doing it. Because we love games like God of War, games like Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, and a list goes on from there. They need to sustain that. Game development prices, as I'm sure you've heard ad nauseum, every friggin' article, every tweet reminds you how game development prices are going up. And I wouldn't blame you if right now you're like, okay, figure it out then. Figure it out and leave us out of it. However, the reason I bring all of that up is to attract the right talent to make the blockbuster hits that PlayStation does. There are talent levels in this industry, even if people online will tell you otherwise. You can do it. There are talent levels here, and they do scale, and PlayStation wants to attract the best. How do you do that? Here's your bag of cash. You got to offer a lot of money to these people. So development costs are going up. Games are taking longer to make, so that inflates the budget a little bit more. How do you sustain revenue coming in without doing the old age tactics of, oh, let's produce a game, $70, please buy, thank you. When PlayStation's looking at the earnings report and as a platform holder, they see the revenue from Warzone or they see the revenue from Fortnite and they go, wait, how much did God of War? And they did that just off microtransactions in a couple of months. Are you kidding me? So they probably look at that and that's where they go into making 10 plus live service games by 2026, where we see the likes of Fair Games, which that trailer wasn't good, but the premise of heists, I've always been interested in heists in video games. I think of like GTA 5, always a good time doing a heist with a buddy. I think of course, Payday. So I'm about the vision, but we'll see if it delivers. The trailer, though, gave me kind of like Redfall vibes of like, oh no, this could be some real garbage. I just hope it's not. But they need these live service games. For example, the reason they're taking so long with Factions is I think that's going to be the sort of tentpole service game for them to establish a quality standard of this is what you should expect from us in our service games moving forward. Xbox is no different. The only benefit to Xbox players is they spend so long establishing your service games like your Forza Horizons, your Motorsport coming out soon, Sea of Thieves, and so on and so forth, that now you're starting to get things like Starfield, which are cleverly going to be serviced. Like it's a single player game, but they're going to do things like, no doubt, the marketplace, creation club, mods, updates, and so on and so forth, paid expansions. They're going to cleverly service games out. Xbox more than PlayStation, because Xbox has a subscription service. They need to keep you subscribed. But PlayStation's doing this for a different reason. To give us those big blockbuster hits, they need money coming in somewhere else. And when they're looking at how much they're making off of Fortnite microtransactions as a platform holder, and they think about, what if we had 100% of that with a real banger live service game? Yeah, the money's going to pour in and fund other projects. Look how much Epic as a company, I know they just had a bunch of layoffs, but look how much Epic as a company has changed since the success of Fortnite. PlayStation would be able to do that too if they were making a ton of money from a service game, and in the case of Fortnite, the most popular service game on the planet. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what's going on with PlayStation, and I think it's a shame, but at the same time, they're making a lot of money, and with the new leader coming in, right now it's Hiroki Totoki, and someone else is going to come in as the successor to Jim Ryan. Big shoes to fill, and I don't think the status quo is going to change completely. I think you may see little changes here and there, but maybe not in the best way. If it's someone who cares about making money, you'll continue to see that focus on live service, mobile games, TV, movies, big, blockbuster. That'll be the focus there. I don't think suddenly PlayStation's going to show up and say, we're doing a subscription service push now, although I think they will need to, but they're still ramping up to that. I don't think we're going to see dramatic changes like people are expecting, but time will tell. When a new head of PlayStation comes in, it's not going to be an immediate splash. We're going to have to see, just like with Jim Ryan, over time, how these changes set in. And by this point, we now have a feel of what that Jim Ryan era was like. And it was lucrative for PlayStation. It was just not great for us, the players. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I leave it in your hands. What do you make of everything happening with PlayStation? I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the heck out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.